I wanted to do this video simply because in the past I have made videos on AI and I think I need to clarify a few things. And credit where credit's due, Colleen M Story, she's a YouTuber, and she did a video called The AI Trap That's Killing Writers' Novels and They Can't See It. And I highly recommend you watch that. I'm not really saying anything that she didn't say. I just have a few extra things that I might add in, and but credit where credit's due. I'm just kind of piling on the same warning that she's using. There's a case that's been going around the internet. You've probably heard of it. It's a case where lawyers used ChatGPT, I think, to do some kind of a filing. Anyway, the AI completely made up everything, and I wanted to point that out. It was Meta versus Avianca, U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, 2022 to 2023. It was a personal injury lawsuit. A man claimed he was hurt by a serving card on an Avianca flight, and lawyers used ChatGPT to research and draft a legal motion. They filed 6 completely fabricated court cases, fake names, fake citations, fake quotes, fake judicial reasoning, and all of it invented by the AI. And Avianca's lawyers flagged it. We can't find these cases. And the court couldn't find them either. And this is the part of the story that nobody seems to be talking about. The lawyers didn't come clean. They submitted more documents trying to prove the fake cases existed, including AI-generated copies of the fake opinions. And one of the attorneys he claimed that he was on vacation, and he wasn't. Judge P. Kevin Castall found both attorneys acted in subjective bad faith. Sanctions were issued on June 22nd of 2023, a $5,000 fine. Letters of apology to every judge whose name was falsely attached to a fake opinion, and the full record is available at for God's sake, Meta v. Avianca Inc. 678F Sup 3D 443, findable on Justia Law, whatever the hell any of that means. It's still happening. June 2026, a Mississippi judge canceled both trial and canceled the trial and sanctioned both lawyers and the other side for citing AI-invented cases, and neither side had checked their own filings. And then there's the mushroom controversy. I'm sure you've heard the story, but I wanted to get it straight for the record. 2023, Amazon was flooded with mushroom foraging guides that appeared to be AI generated. The Guardian, September 1st, 2023, by Dan Milmo, had samples tested by originality.ai, and every sample scored 100% AI generated. I don't know how much faith I can put into that because, there's some controversy about AI finding AI generated text. But anyway, experts flagged the dangerous advice. Books recommending that you smell and taste as identification methods, and that's pretty dangerous. New York Mycological Society posted a public warning that it can literally mean life or death. Professor Myron Smith, fungal expert, Carleton University, he called the books totally irresponsible, and the source for this is The Guardian, September 1st, 2023. You can look that up, unless my AI is making up everything. And then there's mushroom apps. This is where it gets a little distinct from the mushroom books. It's a separate problem, separate sources, same principle. AI-powered mushroom identification apps marketed to foragers. Public Citizen report, March 2024, people relying solely on AI identification apps were severely sickened and hospitalized. after consuming toxic mushrooms the AI identified as edible. Apps can't account for substrate, bruising, smell, condition. A photo of a cap is almost never enough. One Ohio man required emergency treatment in 2022 after an app told him the mushrooms were safe to eat. My source for this is the Public Citizen. Mushrooming misinformation, generative AI poses deadly threat. March 2024, citizen.org. Two separate problems. You got bad books that I don't think have actually killed anybody yet, and bad apps that already have. The internet is kind of blurring these stories into one fuzzy urban legend. I just want to keep them straight. What I wanted to talk to you about isn't really mushrooms or legal action. It's this growing trend. I don't know if it's a growing trend. It's just a trend of writers, especially new writers, trusting AI. There's a missing human contract. When you ask another human being for advice, there's kind of this unspoken contract. They have a reputation. They have consequences. They have shame and liability and empathy. And they know when I think so isn't good enough. And AI doesn't have any of that. If I ask a fellow human being, hey, is this mushroom safe to eat? And that human looks at it and says, I don't know. That person that I've asked is taking some responsibility for he doesn't just make something up on the spot. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and eat it. He could be, or he or she could be responsible for your death or a severe tummy ache, one or the other. And AI doesn't have any of that. AI does not wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering if it gave you bad advice. The problem with AI is that it doesn't have any skin in the game. There are no consequences for it. It can imitate judgment. It cannot possess responsibility. And that's what happened with the lawyers and the mushroom people. The AI didn't know that it had disgraced a profession. The lawyers should have, and the writers of these apps and books should have checked their information before they put them out in the public. So, yeah, you can blame AI for, making up legal cases and misidentifying mushrooms, but, buddy, it's your responsibility to check whether or not AI is actually correct. Now, AI is not uniquely guilty. Human advice can be wrong, too. Beta readers can misread your genre. Editors can try to flatten your weird story into something safe and dead. Writing groups can repeat rules that they half understand, and there's YouTube gurus out there that sell courses built on rules they invented. And the question is never AI or human. The real question you need to be asking yourself is, do you know enough to recognize confident nonsense when you hear it? The real danger is skipping the learning process. If you're using AI to write for you, this video can't help you. I'm sorry, but if you're using generative AI, cover your ears, folks. Kiss my ass. You shouldn't be doing that for a lot of different reasons, and I'm not going to cover them all because it's been covered ad nauseum on YouTube by a myriad of different people. And there's reason I shouldn't be telling you that. I shouldn't have to tell you that. You'll never learn the craft. You'll never advance. You'll never actually be a writer. You'll just be pretending. You'll have the joy of pretending, so enjoy it while it lasts. To quote the Bible here, Matthew 7:26 and 27, the foolish man builds his house upon the sand. And buddy, if you're using AI to generate your text, you are building your house upon the sand. New writers want AI to diagnose the story for them, and that's understandable, because writing is hard, and when you're first getting when you're first dipping your toe in the pool, you don't know how deep it is, and you don't know what you're looking for feedback. But if you don't know the mechanics, the diagnosis is useless and it can be actively harmful. Mechanics that matter are character motivation, scene purpose, stakes, setup and payoff, cause and effect, reader expectation, tone and voice, genre promise, emotional logic. If you don't know what a scene is supposed to do, you can't tell whether AI fixed it or just made it sound smoother while removing the reason it existed. And let me tell you something, editors and beta readers and your mother who's reading it, sometimes they can't either. And then there's AI beige-ification. AI defaults toward safe, polished, generic beige-ification. It can't help it. That's what it was designed to do. You know, AI wasn't built for writers. It was built for everybody, which means it's designed to produce the blandest goop for mass consumption. And that's fine if you're writing an email for HR from Bland Corp, but not when you're writing Lonesome Dove or True Grit. Here's a fun little experiment. Type a passage from a book that you love, one that's got a very distinct voice, and ask AI to help you edit it. See what happens. Get back to me on that. Prose with teeth and flavor and voice and just the personality of the writer infused in it gets sanded down to something very clean, very polite, and very dead. What AI tends to do is soften weird phrasing, and it replaces voice with clarity. It makes dialogue sound like a workplace training video. It removes the rough edges that might have been there for that might have been the entire point, that those rough edges were there. Mistakes smooth for the better, and I'm sorry, but sometimes those mistakes lead to some very interesting and unique writing. AI will take a sentence with blood under its fingernails and turn it into something that's approved by 3 assistant managers and a liability committee. A personal example that I could tell you about is when I was working with a specific AI trying to edit my book, and all I was looking for was, better ways to phrase this and maybe spell check and whatnot, but it kept pushing me to make my young, inexperienced dragon sound like an old, wise, fearsome creature. It was going to the full default dragon package. And finally, I asked it directly, are you defaulting to what you think a dragon is supposed to be? And it was. It admitted it. And if I hadn't known to ask that question, but I did, I'd have been standing there wondering if I was the problem. But the thing is, I've had the experience with AI, and I know what it tends to do. So confidence in your own work is what keeps you from producing the same safe, corporate-approved, HR-sanctioned, bland oatmeal that novice writers and untended AI both tend to crank out. You have to slap it around sometimes. I have to shake it by the shoulders and remind it that my dragon is my dragon, not the dragon you've read about 10,000 times in somebody else's fantasy novel that, by the way, you were trained unethically on. It's a diagnostic tool. It's a sparring partner. It's a rhythm checker. It is not the final authority. Ask it to explain its reasoning. Ask for multiple interpretations. Ask what problem does it think it's solving. Ask it what might be lost if you take that advice. Ask it to argue the opposite case. Don't be afraid to use different AIs either. Run your work through more than one. Different tools can catch different things. You compare AI's answers to human reader reactions. Humans catch confusion that no machine can fully simulate. AI can show you where to look, but you don't give it the final cut. AI can get you to not a finished product, but a product that you can put in front of an agent. If you're querying agents, if you're going to go the traditional route, it gets your book good enough to put in front of an editor, of a traditional publishing, or it gets it good enough for you to put it in front of beta readers, but it has not got the final say. Don't let it have the final say, and don't let it sand off your voice. Now, the business side and why AI can make it worse for those that are unprepared and ignorant of the writing world. Writing a book is not the finish line. If you finish the book, that's the starting gun. Publishing is a labyrinth, and not like the really good Muppet movie. There's no David Bowie in it to at least make it entertaining. You have to learn how to query, whether you need an agent and what agents actually do. There's the difference between the big five, the small presses, literary magazines. There's submission guidelines, response times, simultaneous submission rules, what the market looks like right now, not 5 years ago, not last year, right now. The publishing landscape shifts constantly. There's trends and formats that are constantly shifting and changing, and what readers are buying and how they find books and what platform matters. It is not the same business it was even 12 months ago. I would venture to say you got to keep your finger on the pulse, because every 6 months or less, this market is changing. AI can give you information about publishing that's outdated, incomplete, or just plain wrong. And it will deliver that information with the same calm confidence that it uses for everything else. A new writer asking AI how to get published in 2024 based on AI training data from 2022 is going to get directions to a place that may not exist anymore. The same applies to market trends and agent wish lists, and what magazines are open to submissions, and what publishers are accepting unagented work. AI doesn't know that closed last month, and you have to know to go check. So an unprepared writer who outsources their craft learning and their business learning to AI is building on sand twice. You've got to learn story mechanics. Not because the rules are sacred, because without them you can't evaluate advice from anybody. Not from AI, not from a beta reader, not from an editor, not from a YouTube channel, and certainly not from me. AI can help you build the thing, but it can also help you bury it. Remember, AI has no skin in the game. You're allowed to use AI. You are not allowed to stop being the writer. You're not allowed to stop learning the craft, and the craft includes the business side. So I'm just going to close this out and let you know that I'm rooting for you. But there's this, I don't understand what's going on in the writing world. Novice writers are coming along and trying to use AI, and they don't understand that AI is not infallible. It is not a god. It's a beige-ifying computer program. And you have to slap it around, slap its wrist sometimes. You have to, and in order to do that, you have to have the confidence that you're right and it's wrong. And the only way to do that is to learn the craft. Now, there's plenty of places on YouTube to learn the craft, and you can do it for free. I'm just telling you, you have to learn this. All right, I've rattled on long enough. Hope this helps, and I wish you all a good day and happy writing.